How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Today I want to talk about the recent death of Leelah Alcorn. This is the first in a series of 3 videos that I'm doing to highlight some of the atrocities committed by fundamentalists and how moderates are actually helping them commit these atrocities. On December 28, 2014, 17-year-old transgender teen Leelah Alcorn, born Joshua Ryan Alcorn, committed suicide by stepping in front of a tractor trailer on Interstate 71 in Kings Mills, Ohio. On her Tumblr page, she left this note: "If you are reading this, it means that I have committed suicide and obviously failed to delete this post from my queue. Please don't be sad, it's for the better. The life I would have lived isn't worth living in, because I'm transgender. I could go into detail explaining why I feel that way, but this note is probably going to be lengthy enough as it is. To put it simply, I feel like a girl trapped in a boy's body, and I've felt that way ever since I was 4. I never knew there was a word for that feeling, nor was it possible for a boy to become a girl, so I never told anyone, and I continued to do traditionally boyish things to fit in. When I was 14, I learned what transgender meant and cried of happiness. After 10 years of confusion, I finally understood who I was. I immediately told my mom, and she reacted extremely negatively, telling me that it was a phase, that I would never truly be a girl, that God doesn't make mistakes, that I am wrong. If you are reading this, parents, please don't tell this to your kids. Even if you are Christian or are against transgender people, don't ever say that to someone, especially your kid. That won't do anything but make them hate themselves. That's exactly what it did to me. My mom started taking me to a therapist, but it would only take me to Christian therapists, who were all very biased. So I never actually got the therapy I needed to cure my depression. I only got more Christians telling me that I was selfish and wrong, and that I should look to God for help. When I was 16, I realized that my parents would never come around, and that I would have to wait until I was 18 to start any sort of transitioning treatment, which absolutely broke my heart. The longer you wait, the harder it is to transition. I felt hopeless, that I was just going to look like a man in drag for the rest of my life. On my 16th birthday, when I didn't receive consent from my parents to start transitioning, I cried myself to sleep. I formed a sort of fuck you attitude towards my parents and came out as gay at school, thinking that maybe if I eased into coming out as trans, it would be less of a shock. Although the reaction from my friends was positive, my parents were pissed. They felt like I was attacking their image and that I was an embarrassment to them. They wanted me to be their perfect little straight Christian boy, and that's obviously not what I wanted. So they took me out of public school, took away my laptop and phone, and forbid me from getting on any sort of social media, completely isolating me from my friends. This was probably the part of my life when I was the most depressed, and I'm surprised I didn't kill myself. I was completely alone for 5 months, no friends, no support, no love, just my parents' disappointment and the cruelty of loneliness. At the end of the school year, my parents finally came around and gave me my phone and let me back on social media. I was excited. I finally had my friends back. They were extremely excited to see me and talk to me, but only at first. Eventually they realized they didn't actually give a shit about me. And I felt even lonelier than I did before. The only friends I thought I had only liked me because they saw me 5 times a week. After a summer of having almost no friends, plus the weight of having to think about college, save money for moving out, keep my grades up, go to church each week, and feel like shit because everyone there is against everything I live for, I have decided I've had enough. I'm never going to transition successfully, even when I move out. I'm never going to be happy with the way I look or sound. I'm never going to have enough friends to satisfy me. I'm never going to have enough love to satisfy me. I'm never going to find a man who loves me. I'm never going to be happy. Either I live the rest of my life as a lonely man who wishes he were a woman, or I live my life as a lonely woman who hates herself. There is no winning. There's no way out. I'm sad enough already. I don't need my life to get any worse. People say it gets better, but that isn't true in my case. It gets worse. Each day I get worse. That's the gist of it. That's why I feel like killing myself. Sorry if that's not good enough reason for you. It's good enough reason for me. As for my will, I want 100% of the things I legally own to be sold and the money plus my money in the bank to be given to trans civil rights movements and support groups. I don't give a shit which one. The only way I will rest in peace is if one day transgender people aren't treated the way I was. They're treated like humans with valid feelings and human rights. Gender needs to be taught about in schools. The earlier the better. My death needs to mean something. My death needs to be counted in the number of transgender people who commit suicide this year. I want someone to look at that number and say, that's fucked up, and fix it. Fix society, please. Goodbye, Leelah Josh Alcorn. That note was subsequently taken down from her Tumblr page. One of the responses from her parents to her, which kind of pissed me off and always gets on my nerves when people use this response, and that's God doesn't make mistakes. Except for the foreskin, which needs to be removed at birth, the appendix, birth defects, wisdom teeth, and cancer, to name a few. After her death, her mother took to Facebook and said the following. My sweet 16-year-old son, Joshua Ryan Alcorn, went home to heaven this morning. He was out for an early morning walk and was hit by a truck. Thank you for the messages and kindness and concern you have sent our way. Please continue to keep us in your prayers. Later, she would go on to correct the age of her daughter, but not the pronoun usage. When she was accused of bullying her son into suicide by Laverne Cox on Instagram, she responded, I didn't bully him. This whole media parade has me so mad. Fuck you, tranny bitch. She also went on to say, you're sick and have I'm assuming that she meant to say many demons. God doesn't want this, and he said demons would pervert the world like this. You tranny, you're probably part of the reason my son did this. You and this whole media fuckery. If anybody out there wants to know why atheists like me do what we do, it's for this reason. The parents bullied their daughter to death because of their religious beliefs. Religion is the most perverse and reprehensible delusions that exist in society that many people have fallen into. Any idea that would call for one human being to harass another human being, especially their own child, to the point where they commit suicide is an abomination and has no place in today's society. And the people who support religions that call for this are either blind or clueless. For the parents of Leelah Alcorn, I have zero sympathy. In fact, I believe that charges should be brought against them for at least child endangerment and abuse for the way that they treated her, which eventually contributed to her suicide. Now, I'd go far as to say that simply bringing up a child in a religious household is in fact child abuse. Imagine this. Imagine threatening a child with eternal fiery torture if they didn't conform to the mold that a parent has set for them. Imagine a parent threatening a child like that. Now, you may call that child abuse for the psychological effects it has on the child, but now take out the parents and put in God. And it's the same thing, except the responsibility is now given to God, and that for some reason makes it okay to abuse the child this way. Now, I don't want to get into too much detail about what it means to be transgender, since there's not much known about the science behind it. But you could look at it one simple way. If it doesn't do any psychological, emotional, physical, or financial harm to you, then you shouldn't really give a damn about it. What is sad is that incidences like this occur every day in the transgender community, and that's unacceptable. If anybody out there is facing harassment from living in a religious household like Leelah Alcorn was, please reach out to me or to somebody that you know that you can trust. My email address is in my YouTube page. Reach out to me. Comment on this video. My Facebook page is always open. Please leave me a message there. If anybody out there is suffering from harassment due to living in a super religious household or a religious household in general or community, please reach out to me. We don't need another wasted life like this. And in the end, to the parents of Leelah Alcorn, I have a special message for you. Go fuck yourselves.